can what? I know, it's fun. I was thinking the same, yeah, like, okay. Good little first run through, and probably do some more after. And like that. Hi there. Well, welcome to Vinyasa Flow Restorative Fusion class. My name's Andrea Woodhall, and I'm so excited to be here practicing with you all. So as we begin our practice, we'll start to settle in. If you'd like to sit on a blanket, to elevate the hips above the knees and get nice and comfy. As we begin to shift the breath and the awareness, sitting and settling, taking a moment for yourself here. As we gently begin to shift the breath to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. On the inhale, we lengthen through the crown of the head. And on the exhale, we root deeper into the sit bones, sinking deep into the floor, relaxing the face, and just quieting the mind, bringing stillness to the body, getting out any last minute fidgets before we commit to the stillness right now. On the inhale, together we bring palms to heart center. On the exhale, we reach out and sweep fingertips out to the sides, gazing towards the ceiling. On the exhale, palms release back to the heart. Once again, as we inhale, sweeping fingertips wide, reaching through. And on the exhale, the palms find their way to the heart center. And just taking a moment to check in, take an inventory from head to toe. And just matching that breath, slowing it down. On the next exhale, we begin to press the palms together, creating tension between wrists and shoulders and elbows. And on the inhale, we allow the palms to float away. Again, on the exhale, we press the palms together, create some tension, and immediately feeling the core engage. So we draw the navel into the spine. On the next exhale, we release the palms, allowing the fingers to float together. Once again, we press the palms, creating tension and bringing that awareness to the space between pelvic and sit bones at the perineum. We begin to draw the energy up the spine back to the heart center. On the inhale again, we release the palms, relaxing the whole body. And one last time, exhaling, pressing the palms, we engage the core, we engage the Mula Bandha, drawing energy up to the heart. And on the exhale, we release palms back to knees. Together, we reach out with the left palm, placing on the side of the body, and then extending through the fingertips. We just take a moment here, opening the side body, checking in with the space between shoulders and ears. On the inhale, we release and unwind through center, heading over to the opposite side. And again, just nice and soft and gentle, creating some space between shoulder and ear. On the inhale, we unwind and restack the spine. As we inhale, lengthening, we'll reach over beyond the right side of the body. So gazing over the shoulder, twisting the torso, the chest. And as we exhale, we unwind through center, heading over to the opposite. The eyes will look as far as they can. And on the exhale, we unwind and release. Again, stacking the spine. As we inhale the palms back to the heart, we begin to rub the palms, creating some heat, relaxing the face. On the exhale, we place palms over the eyes and noticing the darkness. We immediately go inward. And just taking a moment here to set an intention for your practice. This might be a word or a phrase or a color or anything that's meaningful for you. Something that will help to focus the mind as the mind begins to wander. Something to bring us back to our breath and our body. On the exhale, we release the palms once again to the heart. May we practice with patience in our mind and curiosity in our body. On the exhale, we reach our fingertips forward as we begin to crawl and stretch and bow. And you may want a block here if you'd like some support underneath the head. Just releasing the back of the neck. Feeling into the low spine. Again, coming back to the breath as we continue folding forward, inhaling as we lengthen through the crown of the head, and exhaling, we sink deep into the floor. On the inhale, we lift halfway, gently walking fingertips over to right side as we bow the head towards the right knee, releasing the back of the neck. Again, finding that nice deep breath as we send breath to the side body and the low hips. On our next inhale together, we'll gently walk the hands through center, finding our way to the left side as we again bow towards the bent knee, releasing the heaviness of the head. And just finding that breath, tuning into how the body's feeling today, letting go of any tension. On the next inhale, again, we begin to walk the palms back to center. And then resting the head one last time as we take a few deep breaths. And staying here for a moment, I'll be offering adjustments throughout class. If you're not interested in receiving an adjustment today, feel free to just wiggle your fingers and I'll be happy to respect your space today. On the next inhale, we begin to press palms into floor, reconnecting the sit bones as we stack the spine. Inhaling palms to knees. As we bring that awareness to our posture, we check in with the shoulders, and maybe they're hunching forward, so we inhale the shoulders squeezing to ears, and then rolling the shoulders back as we open the heart center. Again, we'll inhale, lifting the shoulders, squeezing to ears, and on the exhale, we roll the shoulders back. And then noticing if the chin is reaching forward, we'll just tuck that chin back and stack the spine over the hips. So all of that weight is rooted through the sit bones. And just taking a moment here, noticing what this feels like. As our meditation and yoga practice deepens, this will become a super important posture for us. On the next exhale, we find the palms at the heart once again. And as we exhale, we'll just reach behind us and remove the blanket over to the side, making some room. On the inhale, knees will come together as we'll extend the legs and the heels, beginning to point and flex those toes, waking up the low body. Doing our best to continue matching that breath as we inhale and lift and exhale and point. And finding stillness with the feet, we're going to reach over for a band that's close by. And then just wrapping that band around the toes as we start to pull the feet in. On the inhale, we'll lengthen through the crown of the head. And on the exhale, we'll start to bend the knees towards the navel as we bow forward, gluing the rib cage to the thighs. And then just reaching a bit closer to the ankles, we begin to kind of cocoon the body and release the head. So noticing a nice openness in the upper spine, between the shoulder blades, releasing the heaviness of the head. On the next inhale, we begin to lift the torso and then gently walking the feet out. We start to find a bit more length in the hamstrings Again, as we inhale, we'll lengthen through the crown, and on the exhale this time, we begin to pull the torso forward. Again, bowing the head. If you need a block for assistance, you can always place that block underneath the knees if the hamstrings are feeling a bit tight today. And just finding that breath as we continue forward, folding. On the inhale again, we lift and lengthen, and just removing that block. We're going to inhale the right heel into the groin, so kind of adjusting the fleshy parts of the sit bones. As we reach towards the left foot with the left hand, we'll open the chest to the bent knee as we sweep the arm overhead, and just gently tipping to the side. Thinking nice and soft and gentle as we feel into those hips. Feel into the spine. On the next inhale, we'll lengthen and lift. And with a slight back bend, we'll just kind of tip behind the body. And then pressing back to neutral, we'll extend and switch sides. So inhaling, drawing the left knee into center. And adjusting those sit bones so we're super deep and rooted into the floor. As we open the chest to the bent knee, extending through, allowing the side body to really reach and open and relax. Allowing the head to be the last to fall down. So taking your time here as we just feel into the hips and the side body. Doing our best to relax the face, relax the jaw. On the next inhale, we begin to lift and lengthen. And then with a gentle back bend, we slightly tip behind and then bring it right back to center as we connect the feet once again. On our next inhale, we'll draw both of the heels in. So drawing into the sit bones, into that nice butterfly, and getting nice and rooted through the sit bones as we start to lengthen through the crown once again. On the exhale, we'll begin to tuck the chin and start to tuck the chest and cocoon the body forward as we bow towards the toes. And just allowing gravity to do the work here as we rest and relax. Taking nice deep inhales and exhales. As we inhale together, we'll begin to lift the torso and stack the spine. We'll just let go of the band here for a moment. On the next inhale, we place the palms on the tops of the knees. So as we exhale, we begin to lift the knees and lift super high and begin pressing the palms back into the knees. So we create some tension and contraction in the hips, in the hip flexors. And as we exhale, we release down and maybe even press a little deeper with the knees so we continue to lengthen the hamstrings. On the inhale, we'll again lift the knees, pressing into the hands, and then hands pressing into knees as we create some contraction and tension, creating some heat in the body. On the exhale, we release and again pressing into the knees. Allow gravity to pull you down. On the next inhale, we'll just release those palms and kind of shimmy the feet a bit further out. So from here, we begin to forward fold, but with a flat back this time, as we just check in and see what our range of motion is today. Once you find your spot, we'll begin to bow forward with the head, tucking the chin. On the inhale, we lift and lengthen, again, pulling those heels a bit closer to the sit bones. And from here, we can actually move the strap to the side. And then grabbing a hold of the toes, we start to kind of tip over to the right side as we allow the body to fall and peel off the mat. And then as we sweep the head forward past the toes through center, we'll start to head over to the opposite side. So pick your own pace if you'd like to go faster or slower, if you'd like to hang out for a while in one spot. And whenever you're ready, we'll just head over to that opposite side, loosening up the low spine, relaxing the face, relaxing the eyes. And if you notice the mind beginning to wander, we'll just bring ourselves back to that intention we set at the beginning of practice. Something as simple as I am inhaling, I am exhaling. As we move gently over to the opposite side one last time. Big inhale. And as we move through center, this next time we begin to root through the sit bones and press back to our seated position as we inhale the knees together. And then staying as you are, we'll begin to hold the fronts of the knees as we inhale, lengthen through the spine, gluing ribs to thighs. On the exhale, we'll start to curve down, tucking the chin and releasing the spine. On the inhale, we lengthen and lift. On the exhale, we release down. Again, as we inhale, we lift and lengthen, finding that nice flow in the spine, flow in the breath. A few more rounds here. And just a gentle reminder that this is your practice, so please take care of yourself. If you need to make any minor adjustments, feel free at any time. And as we begin to bow and tuck back, this time we release the upper back and allow the entire body to fall onto the floor as we reach out with the feet and reach out with the toes. Arms reach overhead as if we're stretching for the first time through the fingers and the toes. And on the exhale, we release down, allowing the body to sink into the floor. Always coming back to that nice deep breath. Once again, we'll reach through the fingers and reach through the toes, and this time creating a full body contraction. So we squeeze the hands, we squeeze the face, clench the jaw, squeeze the glutes and the thighs, and flex those feet. Big inhale here. And on the exhale, we let go a bit more, sinking deeper. Allowing the beginning of the day to just wash over us, letting anything go that may have been whirling around in our mind. We're here now with our breath and our body, relaxing, tuning in. On the next inhale together, arms sweep overhead towards the hips as the right knee reaches into the chest, and then left knee follows as we gently give ourselves a nice hug, maybe even rocking from left to right. As we begin to guide the knees in a circular motion, as if you're stirring the oatmeal, we gently massage the low back, the tailbone. And whenever you're ready, we'll switch to the opposite direction. We start to rotate and guide those knees. And finding stillness in center, we inhale toes to ceiling as we point and flex, waking up the ankles and the toes a bit more. On our next exhale, we find stillness in the feet and begin to splay the legs out into a V shape. So supporting behind the knees or the calves as we just allow gravity to do its work, maybe even bending the knees if it's a bit intense for the hamstrings. And as we inhale, we bring legs back together, exhaling knees to chest, and then reaching either towards the big toes or the outsides of the feet or the insides, if that feels better. We'll come into our happy baby. So just allowing the low back to press into the mat, and maybe even teetering left to right to loosen up a bit more. Bringing some playfulness into the practice. And when you're ready, we begin to exhale, releasing the feet back up to the ceiling. On the next inhale, knees will bend back to chest. From here, we'll just extend the right leg. So holding the left knee into the rib cage, maybe circling the left ankle and heel and toe, and we'll take it into both directions. On our next exhale, the left knee will come out to the left shoulder, and we just gently support with the hand, maybe bringing some movement into that hip joint. Just checking in to see where we're at right now. Sending that breath to any sticky spots. On the next inhale, we draw the knee up and over across the body into our first spinal twist. So knees will fall to one side as we gaze towards the opposite, reaching with the fingers. And just allowing everything to unwind and unfold. Again, we find that breath. On each inhale through the nose, we lengthen and get tall. And each exhale, we let go a little bit more. If you'd like a deeper stretch, you can place the right palm on the inside of that left hip crease on the hip flexor. Begin pressing the hip and the thigh away from the rib cage. At the same time, we can inhale the left arm up beyond the head, reaching as far as you can. And whenever you're ready, we'll just let go of the extra stretch. And then beginning to unwind, we plug the backs of the hips back into the mat, bringing both knees into chest as we again rotate left and right. On the next exhale, we find stillness, extending the left leg down. So pulling the right knee into the chest as we let go of the left side. Pulling and hugging. On our next exhale, we open right knee to right shoulder. And then maybe bringing some movement into that side as well. Opening and closing. On our next exhale, when you're ready, we begin to pull the right knee up and over and across the body. So moving into that spinal twist on the opposite side. The knees will fall to one side as we reach out with the opposite arm, gazing towards the fingertips. And just checking in, seeing how that's feeling in the low back and the hip area. This can be pretty intense, so take your time and keep finding that breath. If you'd like a deeper stretch on this side, we'll place left palm on left hip crease and begin pressing hip away from the rib cage, creating some length in the side body as we inhale the right arm up overhead and just reaching as far as is comfortable. And on the exhale, we release and relax, beginning to unwind. We come back to center, plugging the hips back in, knees find the chest once more. And just rotating those hips. Again, we'll stir that oatmeal nice and smooth and gentle. As we find stillness here, beginning to exhale the heels to the floor. So finding about hip width apart. We notice the low back presses in, the back of the neck lengthens, the palms find the floor next to hips. As we gently move through our half bridge, we begin to press through the heels to begin. Then we tuck the pelvis, squeeze the glutes, and begin lifting towards the ceiling. So super slow as you can go. We gently peel the spine up off the mat. Noticing the weight shift into the shoulders and the heels. When you reach your peak, we inhale deeply. On the exhale, we start to reconnect and unwind. So the knees are drawing in, and the spine, one by one, reaches down. The pelvis is the very last to let go. Again, we reset, begin pressing through the heels as we tuck the pelvis, begin lifting the spine, peeling one by one each vertebrae up and off the mat. As we notice the back of the neck lengthening. As we find our peak here, we hang out for a breath. If it's available to you to clasp the fingers behind, so you might want to actually roll the shoulders first to create some length. The fingers will connect and we maybe press and lift a bit higher with the hips. Find that breath again as we inhale, noticing the ribs expand and contract. And while we're here, if it's available to you, to release the fingers and then place the palms underneath the hips, so then the weight of the body can actually rest into the elbows and the forearms. Trying to keep the neck pretty still and just hanging out here. It might feel good to kind of reach forward with the hips and then shift back into the hips and just explore a bit as we continue breathing deep, connecting that mind body. On the exhale, we begin to release the palms as we gently reconnect the spine. One by one, we slowly find our way back to the floor, noticing how the spine and the core are constantly having to adjust and readjust. On our next inhale, we begin to move into our shoulder stand, so knees will come towards the chest. And if it's available to you to shift the weight over the forehead, we support the low spine with the hands. And so the knees might find the forehead to begin. You might want to kind of walk the shoulders a bit closer together so you feel super steady and grounded. And whenever you're ready, feel free to extend those toes towards the ceiling. Keeping that nice deep breath. And just bringing that awareness to the space between the collarbones and your chin. If you're really scrunching down, let's make a little bit of space. So almost as if there's a little golf ball hanging out there. Allows the breath to be easy. Allows you to lengthen through the cervical spine. On the exhale, we drop the toes behind the head, coming into our plow position. As we drop and lower, the toes might find the floor, the arms might extend. If you notice yourself holding the breath, find that exhale. Breathe through the stretch. Breathe through any tension. On the next exhale, the palms will find the low back as we begin to unfold. So maybe the knees will bend, or maybe they'll come back up straight. We find ourselves back into our shoulder. On the next exhale, we then begin to bend the knees towards the forehead and gently lowering the hips back to connect with the floor. Ever so slowly, we extend the legs. And once again, we'll extend the arms overhead, reaching as far as we can. And on the exhale, palms will find their way back to the hips as we gently sit onto the tops of the thumbs, placing the elbows into the floor as we move into our fish pose. So on the exhale, we begin to shift the weight and press into the elbows as we lift the chest and just hover the crown of the head over the mat. Check in with the thighs if you'd like to lift the kneecaps and engage the legs. Releasing the back of the neck and the spine. On our next inhale, we unwind and let go once again, unfolding the palms so they're nice and rested. Palms facing the ceiling, toes will splay out. And just taking a nice deep breath here as we slowly transition from our inversion. On our next exhale, we begin to bend the knees and find the feet once again on the floor as we begin to roll over to one side. Nice and slow, the palms will find the floor as we press the torso back to seated. From here, we continue rolling over onto the belly side. So finding our way onto the front of the body. We'll inhale the palms close to the chest, elbows will squeeze in, and just resting the chin on the floor. On our inhale together, we begin to lift the head, lift the chest, and roll the shoulders back. So elbows squeeze into the rib cage. We engage the glutes and press hips into the floor. And on the exhale, we'll just let go onto one of the ears. Releasing the low body, the upper body. As we inhale again together, we'll lift back into our baby cobra. So squeezing the elbows into rib cage, squeezing glutes, lifting the chest. Imagine the light and energy extending past and through the crown of the head, reaching forward towards the ceiling. And on the next exhale, we release down to the opposite ear. On our inhale, inhale, we again lift back into our baby cobra, but we continue to press a bit farther into a high cobra. So here, if there's any low back pain, really squeeze the glutes to protect the low back. Make some space between shoulders and ears. The elbows squeeze in. Noticing the ribs expand and contract. And then bringing that awareness to the kneecaps, we'll lift the knees and engage the quads. So toes press into the floor. And as we exhale, we come all the way back down, releasing once again to one side. So whichever side you're leaning towards, we're going to release actually both of the palms, but then reaching back with that same side that you're gazing towards, we'll kick the heel up to meet the glutes. And then just resting the upper body, we begin to continue pulling the heel closer and closer, giving a nice stretch to the hip flexors. And staying connected to this left side body, we begin to kick the heel or the foot into the hand. So again, this contract and release technique. So we press, create some contraction, some tension, some heat. And then as we exhale, we pull deeper. So allowing the quad to really stretch and release and relax. And once again, we'll begin to kick the foot into the hand. So tension between wrists and shoulder. As we find some heat building in the body. On the next exhale, we'll again just continue pulling the foot closer to the glute. Nice stretch in the front of the foot as well. When you're ready, we'll exhale and release the foot. We'll head over to the opposite side. So reaching over for the foot, we'll kick the heel and grab a hold wherever you can. As we rest the upper body, we'll just gently pull the heel closer and closer. So relax the face. On our next exhale, we begin to kick the foot into the hand. So creating some tension again. The front of the right side. Some nice heat's created. Fatiguing that muscle. On the exhale, we release down and pull the heel closer to the glute, allowing for a deeper stretch. Once again, we'll start to kick into the hand, creating some tension. Keeping that nice deep breath. As we exhale, we'll pull a little bit deeper this time. On our next inhale, we'll continue holding on to this side as we gently kick up the opposite side. So heels will come in, the knees will kind of draw towards each other. And we'll just combine our baby cobra and our feet as we begin kicking through the hands and lifting the torso. Awesome. Keep breathing. Check in with those shoulders, make some space, and just feeling that breath moving in the rib cage. Inhale through the nose, we exhale through the mouth. And one last nice big inhale. On the exhale, we release down, letting go of the feet. As we inhale, palms find their way back to the chest as we press into and through our tabletop. We'll spread the knees wide, coming down into our child's pose, releasing the head. And just taking a few nice deep breaths here. We sit and settle, and then feeling into that low spine. We find that breath once again. Reaching through the crown of the head, reaching through the sit bones. Feeling grounded and supported. As we inhale, lifting out of our child's pose, we find our tabletop as we stack the wrists underneath shoulders and knees underneath hips as we move into our cat-cow. So we'll inhale, dropping the belly and lifting the eyes towards the ceiling. On the exhale, we tuck the chin and curve the spine, tucking the pelvis. On the inhale again, we lift. So feel free to go at your own pace. You can pick it up or take it slower. Feel free to close the eyes and relax the face. And just really feel into the spine here, sending breath up and down. And hanging out in one spot, if it feels really good, just feel into it, enjoy. There's no rush here, nowhere else to be. We're here with our breath and our body. As we gently move through one more round. Wherever you're at, we'll find our center spot. On the next inhale, we begin to look over the left shoulder. So gazing towards the toes, we allow those hips to fall to the side. And just taking a nice deep breath here, we'll inhale, shifting back through center, heading over to the opposite side. Stretching the neck, stretching the hips. And again, as we did before, we just find a flow that feels good for us. So if you'd like to go faster or slower, you get to pick. This is your practice. Just a reminder to do your best to continue matching that breath as we inhale to one side, exhale to the other. The mind and the body will both follow the breath. So we calm the breath, we slow the breath. The mind will calm, the body will slow. As we gently make our way back through center, we shift our weight to left palm, and then threading the right arm underneath, we gently release the right shoulder, release the head. If you'd like a deeper stretch, feel free to extend the left leg. On the next inhale, we unwind, coming back to center. And let's head over to the opposite side. We'll just thread the left arm and then drop the shoulder down. If you'd like to extend the leg behind, or if it feels better to have the knees down, you can even extend the arm around the back side of the body and bind here. So just taking your time and sending that breath to any spots that need some attention. On our next exhale, we unwind and release, and we'll just find ourselves back into our tabletop here. As we inhale, we tuck the toes, beginning to lift the hips into our first down dog of the day. And just feeling into those legs, we start to walk the heels and pedal through left and right sides, wagging the tail. Really take your time, just feel into each side body. Feeling that nice psoas release. And when you're ready, we'll find that stillness here. We begin to shift weight to left foot as we inhale the right leg behind. So hips are still nice and square towards the mat and the floor. And on the exhale, we let go of the right leg. We shift back over to the left side. So we'll inhale, left leg behind. The hips will still shine towards the floor. As we spread the fingers, we press the palms in. On the exhale, left leg will fall back down to meet the right. And just separating those feet about hip width apart, we'll begin to inhale onto the tippy toes as we raise a bit higher off the floor. On the exhale, heels will find the mat once again. Inhaling, lifting, tippy toes. Exhale, dropping down. And one last time as we lift. On the exhale, we'll drop the heels. So staying here, we begin to shift the weight into the right palm. So the right palm might even want to come a little closer to the center of the body.
And then lifting the left palm to meet right knee. So all of that weight's in the right hand and both of the feet. Good, so check out how that feels. Recruiting a few more muscles here as we lift the kneecaps and engage the thighs. On the exhale, we release the left palm. We'll switch sides. So right palm will lift to meet the left knee. Good, continuing to breathe deep. On the exhale, we'll come back to our down dog as we again find 5 slow, deep breaths here. So get comfy. Allow the body to continue settling in. Reaching through those heels, spreading through the fingers, lifting through the hips, and finding that breath. From here, on the next inhale, we begin to walk the feet to meet the hands. So we gently find those feet and toes together, about hip-width apart, as we gently bend the knees and then straighten those knees as we tuck the head. And then again, bending into the knees, just a mini squat here, and then lifting again. When you're ready, we place the right palm in the center of the feet. Bending the right knee, we straighten the left side, and then opening up, we reach towards the ceiling. Awesome. Keep breathing, checking in, imagining those shoulders are really stacked on top of each other. On the exhale, we'll release and switch sides. So left palm will find the floor. We bend the left knee, straighten right side, and then open on up. Reaching through those fingertips, nice and active body, active arms and legs. As we exhale, we release back down. We bend both knees and we squat once again, just slightly. And then inhaling, straightening the legs. From here, we start to bend the knees gently as we curl up into a standing position. So super soft and slow, allowing the chin to stay tucked as we find our way back onto our feet on our mat. And just taking a moment to transition here. Maybe we close the eyes. Maybe we check in with that breath again. And intentionally closing the eyes this time, we begin to shift the weight between toes and heels. And if this feels a little funky, we can always just open the eyes and find a focus spot on the floor. So we shift from toes back to heels and just kind of recalibrate where our center spot is. From here, we begin to find stillness as we inhale, sweeping arms out to the sides. On the exhale, we'll forward fold as we move through our first sun salutation. Inhaling, lifting to flat back. On the exhale, palms will find the floor as we gently walk back into our plank position. Exhaling, chaturanga, high to low plank. And on the inhale, we either release the knees or move through our up dog from the toes. And on the exhale, again, finding that down dog either through knees or over the toes. And then just taking a nice deep breath here. Readjusting the feet and the hands. On the inhale here, we lift the right leg behind. On the next exhale, we drop heel behind the hip, opening the hip to the side wall. And so notice how that weight shifts between left and right hands. We want to kind of even that up again. So bring that weight back to the right side while still keeping the hip nice and open. On the standing leg, we lift the kneecap and again engage that quad. We draw the navel in. We find our Mula Bandha. We pull the energy from the sit bones up the spine to the heart. All the while keeping that breath. On the exhale, we sweep right knee forward into low lizard lunge. allowing the back knee to fall and the back toes to unfold. So taking a moment, we might want to come deeper onto the elbows. And if you need a block here, we can always rest with some support. Allowing the back of the neck to release. That left hip flexor is super open and wide. On the next inhale, our palms will find the floor as we press torso up. And then finding palms on the fronts of the knees, we shoot the hips back and we straighten the front knee. And we'll just begin to point and flex the toes. Again, we inhale, we'll come back to our nice deep lizard lunge. Maybe a little bit deeper this time. Maybe allowing the knee to really fall out to the side. If you'd like to come deeper onto those elbows, feel free. As we inhale again, we begin to press the torso off the floor and then beginning to straighten the knees. We're going to grab those blocks this time and just allow the upper torso to fold forward a bit with a bit of support. So you can be a bit higher. You can choose your height on those blocks as we begin to bow the forehead towards the knee and just allow that hamstring to really release. If you need to let out some pressure, feel free to bend that knee. On the inhale, we lengthen through the spine. We'll bring the blocks to a super tall position as we start to gently walk the blocks over to one side. So a bit of a side twist here. Just finding some comfortable support, comfortable balance. As we unwind, we release the blocks to the side and we come back into our lizard. From here, palms will again find the top of the knee as we lengthen tall through the torso. And as we lengthen, we lift a bit higher. On the exhale, we'll come just a bit deeper through the hips. And again, inhaling, lifting. As we come deep one more time. And then inhaling, lifting, we'll sweep arms out to the sides, gazing towards the fingertips at the ceiling. And on the exhale, we drop the hips deeper, but also the arms come out to cactus. And then again, inhaling, lifting. Maybe we'll straighten the knee if that feels okay. And then exhaling, we'll come back down. And from this position, we just drop the fingertips and the palms down. So moving into those rotators and then lifting again. We'll lift tall and lengthen and reach. And then on the exhale, we come all the way back down. We'll tuck those back toes and find ourselves again into our down dog. So take a few breaths here. Walking out those legs, coming back to your center. We'll hit up the opposite side. As we inhale, we lengthen through the left leg. So spreading those fingertips nice and wide, we reach the left leg up and behind the body. And then when you're ready, we open the hip to the side room and drop the heel behind the hips. And again, check in with the weight. So we want to even up the left and the right hand. So we bring that weight back to left arm while still opening the hip. As we exhale, we sweep left knee forward. And we come into our lizard lunge on the opposite side, releasing the back toes. And if you're wanting to come deeper, we'll find those elbows onto the floor. Releasing the back of the neck. As we inhale together, palms press off the floor. We lift the hips and the torso, and we just continue bowing forward while we straighten the knee, and maybe pointing and flexing those toes, releasing the back of the neck. On the next inhale, we'll again walk the hands forward. We'll come deep into our lizard. And just sinking into that right hip flexor, we allow the knee to splay out to the side. Maybe we want that support with a block or a bolster or a blanket. We come a bit deeper here. And again, just giving yourself permission to relax and release and to be here with your breath. On the next inhale, we place the palms again on the floor. As those palms find the top of the knee, we'll inhale, lengthen through the spine, straightening the front knee. And again, exhaling, we'll come deep forward. And we'll just go through a few rounds, feeling into those hip flexors. As we come forward this next time, we find stillness as we sweep the fingertips out to the side, gazing towards the fingers and the ceiling. And as we inhale, we'll lengthen a bit higher. On the exhale, we bend deeper and then releasing elbows into cactus. Again, inhaling, lengthening, lifting. On the exhale, we release down. Once again, reaching. And as we exhale, we deepen. And holding here for a breath, we release the palms down. And then inhaling right back. And once again, we'll release the fingers and palms. And come back. On the next exhale, we release down. Tucking the back toes, we'll find that down dog. And we'll just walk out those heels. Pedaling the feet and the heels, walking the legs. On the next inhale, we begin to shift weight from feet into the hands through our plank position. So you'll find that your toes are connected and your hands are connected. The wrists are underneath the shoulders. So we draw up and in through the navel. And if you notice the hips kind of sag a bit, we just lift a bit more so we protect the low back. On the exhale, we lift the hips, come back to our down dog. So again, inhaling, finding that plank, nice and strong body. We inhale the right knee to right elbow. On the exhale, left leg lifts up behind as we're still in our plank. Exhaling, right knee to right elbow. And again, exhaling, we lift. And then just one last time on this side. And from here, we come into one-legged dog. So extending through the right side. And as we exhale, we just lower the right leg to meet the left. On the next inhale, we switch sides. So we inhale the left leg behind. And then exhaling, coming back to our down dog. We'll shift that weight once again forward into our plank position. So again, checking in with the hips. If you are feeling a little bit dropping, we'll just lift the hips a little bit higher, a little bit more exaggerated. And on the exhale, lifting hips back to down dog. So lots of heat in the body now. As we really need that breath, we'll shift again into our plank. From here, we lift left knee to left elbow. On the exhale, we lift the left leg. And on the exhale, left knee to left elbow. Exhaling, left leg. And one last time, holding that plank, we draw the knee in, and then we'll exhale, one-legged dog. And when you're ready, connecting both feet underneath the hips. On the inhale, we'll move through our vinyasa as we come through to chaturanga, high to low plank. On the inhale, we find our up dog. On the exhale, we roll back to our down dog. Inhaling, right leg behind the body. As we sweep forward, we move into our warrior one. So planting both heels, the back heel will tuck in as we inhale the arms. Good, so find that breath. Find that nice core strength within. We check in with the space between shoulders and ears, and we make a little bit more space. We check in with that space between rib cage and hips, and we lift the pelvis and drop the rib cage while opening the chest. So keep that nice, deep breath. On the next exhale, we open up to our warrior two, checking in with the heels, either aligned or arch and heel. And let's reach as far as we can through the front fingertips. And then as far as we can through the back fingertips. And once again, reaching and pulling, we'll find that center spot. From here, we bank elbow onto knee and move into our extended side angle. Finding that breath. If you'd like to go a bit deeper, we can extend the arm either to the floor, maybe onto a block. And once again, extending through the top fingertips. Engaging the quads. On the exhale, we unwind and again find our warrior two. On the inhale, we'll straighten the front leg and kind of hop a bit closer so we can move into our reverse. And just gently tip behind. On the exhale, we come back to warrior two, and then spreading the arms and the fingers, we'll clasp the hands behind the body as we open the chest nice and wide. On the exhale, we bend the front knee into humble warrior as we bow forward, release the heaviness of the head and the neck. Catching your breath, staying focused. Bring that awareness to the body. On the inhale, we lift and unwind. Once again, finding warrior two. We'll come back to warrior one. Squaring the hips to the front room. From here, we gently bend both knees, and we're going to pop forward into our warrior three. So either extending arms to the side, or maybe out behind the body. We reach with the fingertips and grab with the toes. Holding, breathing. On the exhale, continuing to lift that back leg as we tip the torso forward. We might reach for the floor, we might reach for a block, we might reach for the leg, and just always finding that focus spot. When you're feeling steady and stable, we can tuck the chin and bow the head. On the exhale, we lift and release, finding our way back to our warrior two. We'll windmill the arms. And unfolding back to the floor, we'll come forward and we'll find our vinyasa flow as we move through our chaturanga, up dog, and lifting through to your down dog. And just taking a few deep breaths here as we catch our breath once again. From our down dog position, we inhale left leg behind. On the inhale, we sweep left leg forward. We find our warrior one, we drop the back heel, we lift the arms. The hips are shining to the front wall. The heart is open and receptive. We find that focus spot either on the ceiling or on the floor. We check in with that space between shoulders and ears and make a bit more space. And then we check in with that space between ribs and pelvis, and we lessen, we tuck the pelvis and we drop the ribs while we're opening that heart center. Bending a bit deeper into the front knee. On the exhale, we open up to our warrior two. And then just checking in with those heels, making sure we're feeling nice and steady. We reach through the front fingertips as far as we can, and then reach through the back fingertips. And once again, through the front and the back, and just finding that center spot. We again root deep. On the exhale, we bank the elbow onto the knee as we come into extended side angle. We stack the shoulders. We gaze past the elbow. And if you'd like to go a bit deeper, feel free to drop that hand if you need some support on a block. On the exhale, eyes meet the floor as we lift back into our warrior two. As we straighten the front leg, we'll just kind of bring those feet a bit closer as we tip back into our reverse. As we unwind, we come forward, and then gently bending, slightly bending, both knees will pop forward into our warrior three as we find balance again. Sometimes the mat can be really wobbly. You can always feel free to come onto the floor. As we tip the torso forward, you might want to reach for a block or a bolster for support, or maybe the leg. And wherever you're at, whenever you're ready, we start to tuck the chin and bow the head. Good. If you come out, come right back in, no worries. We're all practicing together, taking our time, exploring our bodies. And one more nice deep breath here as we inhale. We lengthen and find our warrior two once again, reaching through evenly both left and right side. On the exhale, we sweep the palms behind the body, interlace the fingers, and then reaching through the chest, we begin to bow forward into our humble warrior, releasing the head, releasing the chin. Good, remember that breath. On the exhale, we lift the torso, we unfold the fingers, we find that warrior two once again, and then we windmill the arms, moving through our vinyasa, finding that chaturanga high to low. As we inhale, we find our up dog, squeezing the glutes, lifting the quads, and then rolling either through the knees or over the toes. And just taking a moment to breathe once again, noticing any new tensions or tightnesses or any new length in the muscles. Bring that awareness to any spot that's speaking to you, might need some attention. On the inhale, we bring toes together. We gently bend the knees, we gaze towards the fingers, and we hop our feet to the hands. From here, we sweep fingertips forward into our Utkatasana chair, and just sitting deep into that imaginary chair. So palms can be either forward and together. If it's too much on the shoulders, feel free to bring the arms out to cactus. On the exhale, palms come together at the heart, and we bank the elbow onto knee. So we twist from here. If you're feeling ready and stable, we begin to shift the eyes beyond the elbow. And maybe you're feeling like you'd like to extend the arms into the full posture, reaching down to the floor. On the inhale, we come back to center, we unwind, we forward fold, release the legs for just a moment. Maybe shake out those knees. On the exhale, we'll sweep fingertips once again. We come back into our chair. Holding for a moment. On the exhale, palms release to the heart as we twist to the opposite side. So banking that elbow as far as you can into the shoulder. Trying to keep knees nice and level. When you're feeling steady, the gaze moves past the elbow. And if you're feeling ready, we can even extend those arms, banking fingertips maybe on a block or the floor, and we reach towards the ceiling. On the exhale, we unwind, and let's forward fold and release that body. We'll take a nice wide stance and clasp the elbows, and we'll just sway the body from left to right. As we find stillness here, we start to widen the toes slightly. And we'll just place those palms down as we move into a deep seated squat. So bringing the palms to the heart, we kind of press out with the elbows. And maybe even just shifting left to right. We kind of check in with those hips and see where they're at. If you're feeling ready, we'll stay here. We'll move into our crow. So allowing the knees to really meet the shoulders and the armpits, we place the palms down. And then we shift that weight. Awesome. From the knees into the forearms as we find that focus spot. Feel free to come out whenever you're ready. Feel free to hold as long as you'd like. From here, if you'd like to shoot the legs back and find your chaturanga, take an inhale to up dog, and then roll on over to your down dog. And then finding that space again in the back of the knees. We inhale onto the tippy toes. We'll exhale the heels back down. We'll drop the knees to the floor. And then untucking the toes, we begin to sit onto the heels. Reaching palms back, clasping behind the heels. We inhale and lengthen into our hare pose. So tucking the chin, the crown of the head hovers over the floor, opening up the back and the spine. And when you're ready, we just release the hips, release the palms, and kind of tip forward onto the fingers as we tuck the toes slightly. And we're just going to sit here for a few moments, releasing the arches of the feet. If those pinky toes are sticking out, we'll just tuck those in. And either closing the eyes or relaxing the face, we start to bring that awareness back to the posture. So we might be leaning forward a bit, so we lift the shoulders, we roll them back, we open the heart. We notice the chin retracts over the collarbones. The spine finds its way sitting above the hips. And we find comfort and stillness here as we come back to that breath. On our next inhale, we bring palms to the heart. On the exhale, we lean forward and we kind of move through our tabletop into a modified up dog with the heels above. And you may even want to bend the elbows here. So we're really releasing the front of the pelvis. And yeah, I love what you're doing. Let's sway those heels from left to right. Opening up a little bit more. Maybe even gazing over the shoulder. Full spinal twist. When you move through center this next time, we're going to shoot the heels back and the hips behind and find our child's pose again. Good, coming back to that breath. On the next inhale, we again press through our tabletop. And we're just going to, from here, actually let's move through our down dog so we get a full pigeon. So we'll lift the hips, On the inhale, we lift the right leg and we'll sweep right leg forward into our pigeon. So we drop the knee, we drop the hips. Sometimes it's really easy to keep the knee really tight and close. We want to slowly, through our practice, work on bringing that knee and heel and ankle to about 90 degrees. So sometimes even bringing a block or a blanket underneath the hip for support feels really good, or at least can get us closer to our goal without any injury or pain. When you're feeling comfortable, we'll start to bow forward. You may want a block to rest the head. We find rest here, bringing the awareness to the crown of the head, sending breath down the back of the spine, through the hips, all the way to the heels and the feet. And as we inhale, we send that breath back up the body, through the hamstrings and the hips and the pelvis, through the shoulders and the face. On our next inhale, the palms will find the mat once again as we sweep the back leg forward and around into a seated spinal twist. We'll just kind of get into those sit bones a bit more as we lift and lengthen. On the exhale, we twist deeper. Again, with each inhale, we lift and we lengthen. On the exhale, we sink deeper. From here, we release the bind and we start to bow forward from here, bowing the head. On our next inhale, we come up. And why don't we cross the ankles and we'll come back into our down dog. So gently walking back so we can start from our center. So inhaling left leg here, hips shine towards the floor. We exhale, we draw left knee forward to the opposite side, pigeon. So again, we just sink wherever's comfortable. I invite you to challenge yourself to try and get that foot about 90 degrees. It takes time, so just find patience. And you might want that block to either bow towards or place the hips on to help ease into the pose. And we just rest, find stillness here. On our next inhale, we begin to find the palms on the mat. We'll lift the torso and then sweeping the back leg forward, we'll just find that nice spinal twist, again, rooting through the sit bones. And then inhaling as we lengthen. On the exhale, we'll twist deep. Again, each inhale, we get tall. On the exhale, we try to deepen a bit more. As we release here, we begin to bow forward, dropping the front knee. And then just allowing the torso, maybe you support the body weight with the hands. Maybe you find a block for the head. However you can feel comfy and release. On the next inhale, we press to seated, we unwind those feet, and we just roll back all the way onto our back sides as we move gently into our final resting pose, our Shavasana, allowing the palms to reach towards the ceiling. The toes will splay out beyond the hips. And now's the time just to rest and relax and absorb the practice. I'll be walking around with some blankets and some pillows. As we allow ourselves to go inside, feeling the heaviness of the body resting in the mat. We bring that awareness to the crown of our head. As we inhale deeply through the nose, we send that breath to the eyebrows and the nose and the cheekbones, behind the eyes, to the jaw, maybe releasing the jaw, any tension you might be holding on to in the face. As we inhale deeply through the nose, we send that breath once again down the collarbone, around the shoulders, and down the arms. As we inhale deeply through the palms of the hands, we send breath back up to the heart center. Exhaling deeply, sending that breath around the rib cage, around the back of the spine. As we inhale deeply, we send that breath down the spine to the tailbone. And wrapping that breath around the hips, we send breath to the pelvis and the navel. Feeling the belly expand and contract, the rib cage filling with air, supporting our life force. On the exhale, we send that breath down the thighs, over the knees, finding its way to the ankles and the toes. And as we inhale again deeply through the base of the feet, we send that breath back up the legs. That breath moves through the hips and the belly and the torso, and finding its way at the heart center. As we find the heart open and receptive. As we take a moment just to check in with the mind and the body. Take an inventory of where you're at now versus where you were when you first walked in these doors. Noticing any small, subtle shifts. Maybe even bringing that awareness back to our mantra that we created at the beginning of practice. See how that has resonated with you throughout the last hour and a half. Shedding the layers from the day. And just allowing that breath to comb through the body, to comb through the tensions in the muscle, to comb through the mind. On our next inhale, we gently bring that awareness to our fingers and our toes. We start to bring ourselves back to our yoga space here. And taking your time, we'll start to roll over to one side as we allow the pillows and blankets to fall where they do. As we make our way back into a comfortable seated position. As we inhale the palms to the heart together. Extending the fingertips out to the side as we sunrise the hands, gazing towards the fingers. Exhaling, palms will find the heart center once again. With another inhale, we again sweep the fingertips out. We absorb the energy we've created. We give thanks for this time of peace and stillness. We exhale the palms back to the heart. As we inhale the thumbs to the forehead, as we move throughout the rest of the evening and the week, may we find peace in our mind. May we find peace in our word. May we find peace in our heart and share it with others. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Feel free to take your time getting up. Yes, so good to have you.